Today is the day to get rid of that chrome bumper. It's kind of windy, so sorry if you hear that. But I already took that plastic little ballast off the bottom. It was just kind of a series of bolts here. Like I said, it's windy, so I'm sorry if you hear that. But there's these like rubber grommet nuts in the corner, in each corner. Feel right here on these studs in the corner. Mine's already been previously cut at an angle to fit these tires, so it might look a little bit different than yours, so you can see where it was chopped. But and then it's got just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just bolts. They come down from the top on the inside. It's easier to take this off if you just take the whole bumper off and then take this off, but I wanted to take this off and show you guys kind of how I was gonna do this. So this one got chopped like a hack job to fit those little LED rock lights in there. Let's see, they're over here on my coffee. So those Cali raised pods are normally mounted in there, and they hacked the crap out of them. So what I'm gonna do, I think, to make it look a little bit better, and what's crazy too is I've taken out the headliner, I've taken out all the door panels, I've taken out everything, and I've seen no signs of any kind of accident here except for that guy right there is a little mashed up. So something hit that passenger side, or whoever had the truck before me hit the passenger side onto something, whatever. But you can see like my skid plate has always been a little off, things like that. It doesn't look like the frame's tweaked or distorted, but definitely something hit right there in that corner. So I'm thinking this bumper was replaced at some point. But anyway, to get that off, like I said, there's those 6 bolts, and then to get the bumper off, just right here on this bracket, on the back side of this bracket here, there's some bolts that hold it in. Let's see, behind the blinker, see those 2 guys right there, and that's the Cannon plug to your blinker for right there. You got to take those out too, obviously. And then that's my wiring for these little rock lights. I separated them and taped them off, that way they're not touching and causing any kind of ground or anything. But I think that's it for as far as the bolts to hold the actual bumper in place. Is just 4 bolts, so we're gonna take those off. You don't have to take out the grill, you don't have to take out the headlights, nothing like that. So that's why I took the bottom off for you guys, so that way you can have a better view on how to get this bumper off. Like I said, it's 4 12mm bolts. I had to use a deep well because the studs are kind of long, so if you got a deep well, it's gonna help. But these guys are what holds it on. So next step now, what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna take that open-ended saw right there, and that's what I used to cut out the grill there, and I'm gonna cut all this crap off. Since he did a hack job there, I'm gonna cut in the corner here and run down and over, and then I'm gonna cut at each of these little spots here, so that way this is all gone. And then later on, I shouldn't have too many issues with that. It'll look pretty clean actually. The only thing is you'll probably see the one crossbar right there. But I'm thinking instead of those little pod lights, maybe throw a light bar in here to cover up this whole area and block that light bar. And then that'll be good for a temporary fix on that, just because it's just such a hack job. The only thing I'm worried about is these 2 mounting supports that hold this on here. They're going to be cut off, and I'm hoping that that doesn't make this center flimsy. I don't think it will, but I don't know. But what we're going to do now is just go over to the bumper. Here it is. So this bumper cover, like I said, it's held on with the 412 millimeters on these studs right there. And I don't know if you can tell, but like right here, it's not exactly flush. It's kind of like bent out a little bit. Some of these other mounting spots are kind of bent. So I'm gonna take it on an anvil and just with the ball peen hammer and just hammer it all flat and flush. And then I'm gonna take some 100 grit on a sander and just rough the crap out of this thing. And then for the plastic valves, here's these green Scotch-Brite pads. Just wash it really well with this Scotch-Brite pad and get all the dirt and gunk off of it. And this is just enough to scuff it up for any type of paint to adhere to a surface. So we're gonna knock that out real quick. I'm not really gonna show that on video, but you get the idea. Alright, so these sawhorses right here, I swear they're as old as I am. My dad made these things when we were kids. I remember using them for everything. My brother used them recently to paint. He did some stencils and stuff. But anyway, so I banged out what was dented here, and everything's real flush and flat now on this bumper, on the anvil. So that is going to be scuffed with, like I said, the sander and the 100 grit. But for now, like I said, we're going to run that open-ended saw and cut this piece off the vallus, and then we're going to wash this one up so it has some time to dry for that paint. Should be pretty good. It's like 70 degrees today, so it's good temperature for paint. It's a little windy, but we're using bed liners, so I'm not worried about perfect surface or a perfect I am worried about a perfect surface. I'm not worried about a perfect like coverage or anything like that, or finish I should say. It's going to be a rough finish anyway, so we're just going to take this open-ended saw and we're going to start hacking away, like I said, in the corners here, and cut all this off, and then we'll sand it flush with some 100 grit and then 400 grit and get it smooth and make it look like it was factory without this center portion in here. Alright, so like I said, I took that open-ended saw, I cut the pieces out, and that's what we're looking at now. So a little bit cleaner, but like I said, it's going to be that gap right there. We just have to clean up. I don't want to get too close because I don't want to cut into it. So we'll clean up what we need to. I might pull out the Dremel and work that down a little bit. And then where these little notches were at and stuff, we'll clean those up real good. And then clean up this side. Should be good to go. So yeah, that's what we're working with here. So let's move along pretty quick. And I think that 100 grit and the Dremel will make short work of this thing. Just remember, this thing, if you're working on a 3rd gen like I am, everything's old, plastic's old. So if you notice, like right here, there's a little crack in it, in the plastic. It was cracked already. Just be careful, don't crack it, because then you gotta buy a new one and then you're gonna be upset, or you're gonna have to use some plastic bonder on the backside to fix it or something like that. So just be careful, make your cuts slow. There's no need to rush it, just make it look awesome. And yeah, so I'm gonna clean that up with some sandpaper and then do some washing on it with that Scotch-Brite and get it all clean and ready for paint. And so we hit it with 100 grit and 400 grit, or 100 grit 220 and 400 to smooth it down. It's not perfect. You can see the notches a little bit, but they're gonna be hidden up in there in the back. So you're going crazy. And I got a whole camera this one. God, it's super windy. But we're just gonna wash it now. Got my trusty Purple Power and get some water in there. Like I said, with that Scotch-Brite, it'll scuff it up enough to where it'll hold that paint really well, and then we'll get all the dirt out of the inside of that bumper. So there you go. And at this point, I want to remind you that this plastic is brittle. So and it's flimsy because it's not attached to anything, and it's probably even more flimsy now because I cut the middle section out, but just remember that. And so yeah, I didn't crack mine or anything. I'm just, while I was washing it, it was definitely a little brittle. So you can see though, see how scuffed up that is now? That's just with that Scotch-Brite pad, and that's what it'll give you, that just enough to get it, the paint to adhere to it and everything. So it's clean, it's purple power degrease, whatever you want to call it, and now it's got to dry. So we're gonna work the chrome with the sander. And like I said, I'm not gonna videotape any of this. I'm sure you guys don't want to listen to me grinding on this thing with some sandpaper, but I'm just gonna take a regular like carpentry sander and throw some 100 grit on there and just scuff the crap out of it. So, and then where I can't get with that sander, I'll just do it by hand inside the holes for the blinkers and the curvatures and stuff. So yeah, like the thing I actually recommend is clean both sides of that thing. Like whatever you're gonna paint, clean both sides of it, because God forbid any of the dirt comes up on your prep work or anything like that. So just make sure you clean both sides really well. And even still, I mean, if you're gonna grab up underneath here and then you touch up here and you got dirt fingerprints and the paint doesn't stick or whatever the case, you know. So just make sure for whatever, you clean both sides really well and get it all done up. That way you're not gonna get any imperfections on the coating where you're gonna be coating it. We're just using this little DeWalt guy. That's exactly what we're looking for right there. Just getting the chrome off, scuffing it up real good. It's making super short work of this. So I'm gonna keep going on it. And I'm covered in this chrome powder. That sander got more than I thought it would. It got all the bottoms and in those curvatures. The only thing I had to hand sand was right here, inside of there, and a little bit of these corners. And then this was divoted down a little bit. It's not exactly flat, but I got in there with some sandpaper. And this was all 100 grit. So you can see it's not very reflective or shiny anymore. And that's what we're looking for. At this point, I suggest cleaning it off with like a wet microfiber and see if there's any spots that you missed as far as the chrome scuffing it up. And then if there's nothing you missed, really clean the crap out of this thing with some degreaser and then some alcohol crap and just really clean it up real good. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna clean it up to see if we miss any spots. Couple low spots here where there's some dents here, 2 right there, that I'm gonna hit up by hand, and then a little bit on the corner there that's still reflective. But other than that, everything else is real scuffed up and looks good. So I'll hit those couple spots by hand and then I super wash this thing and let it dry. Alright, we are 100% sanded. Everything's scuffed up. It's not really shit, so I'm going to clean it really good. You don't even know if you can hear me. Yeah, we're going to clean it up real good. There's no reason to step up from 100 to 220 to 400 or anything like we normally prep, because it's going to be bed liner. The only reason I did it on the plastic was to get some of those scuffs out of there, but I didn't even really need to do that. So I'm going to clean both sides of that bumper really good, and we're going to let it dry out in the sun, and then we'll start looking at this guy because that one is dry 100%. So we'll start looking at that, maybe start putting some coats on that, but these are going to color match, so they're both going to be the same with the bed liner. The prep work is extremely important here. Like the bed liner paint is not important. I'm telling you, it's going to be a rough surface. It's going to be bumpy. So unless you're color matching or doing a smooth job, even still with that 100 grit on that bumper, if you're doing a color match or just painting it or whatever to clear coat it, just do some self-etching primer, wet sand it with like 400, and then get it nice and smooth, and then do your paint, wet sand that with 400, and then prime or clear coat it. So you don't need to step up or step down, I guess, from 100 grit on the bumper. You'll do that when you do your self-etching primer. I'm not doing primer because it's bed liner and it's meant to stick to painted or straight just metal surfaces. So yeah, I'm gonna wash this out. All right, so we got them both cleaned up really well. I'm gonna clean them with some alcohol prep prior to painting them, but I'm letting that chrome bumper dry. Looks really good, really scuffed up. What I did here to eliminate, you know, like contact when you're painting, you know how like when you paint something, you leave it sitting on the surface and then you lift it off and you have that weird ring or whatever you're painting, you know. I used, what is that, a 2x1 that I had just sitting in the garage that I use for everything that I paint with so far now. And I put that under the plastic so that way it lifts it off of the saddles for the sawhorses. And then I widened out the sawhorses so that way the mounts for the bumpers are just sitting there. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try and focus it. There we go. So it's just sitting there and it's actually up off. So all my painted surfaces, aside from that point of contact, even that is got a little tiny gap there. So all of our surfaces are not touching that we're actually going to paint. That way we can kind of get some paint on the lip and everything, so that way we don't get any like premature peeling or anything like that. I don't think it's going to peel at all, but I think it's going to turn out great. We did a lot of prep work here and we're not even done. So like I said, we're going to alcohol prep this thing and wipe it down real good, and then we'll start laying some coats down. So it's kind of a windy day and the wind is moving that way, so I'm hoping that the paint will kind of just go and dissipate. I don't have anything to lay down, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so we alcohol prepped it. Same stuff I used to clean like the lights and stuff, but just did a good spray down, wiped it off with microfiber, and everything looks pretty roughed up. So we're gonna start laying down coats, I think. I'd like to see this get done here in the next hour or two. So we're gonna be painting it with this stuff, Rust-Oleum truck bed coating. It'll give it kind of a rugged look, I think, and then that whole front end will just be blacked out. So I'm just gonna shake the crap out of this and start running it down. I'm not sure if we should use a tack coat or not, but I'm probably going to, because that's my that's what I do for everything. I run a tack coat first and then start laying some thicker coats down. So I'll probably just do that, do like a transparent tack coat, and then hopefully run this whole can on just the front bumper and just get both of those coated up really well. So see how it turns out. Okay, so this stuff sprays way different than paint, just so you know. It comes out very thick and very fast, so there's no tack coat. I'll show you guys. The wind picked up, so you might hear it. That's the first coat, so it's looking pretty solid at the moment. It's really good. So yeah, it almost used a whole can just putting that first coat on everything. So I'll probably use both these cans on this and just go ahead and get some more for the rear, because I was hoping to use a can up front and a can in the rear. It says best result 2 coats. I'll probably do as much as these cans will let me. But one thing that was weird about these was I actually had to spray it upside down. It wouldn't spray right side up. I don't know if it was just the can I got or what, but I had to spray it with it upside down to actually get anything to come out of it. So that was kind of weird, but it came out pretty even. You can see it's pretty textured surface, so it should be pretty bitchin' when we're all said and done. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw on as many cans as these, or as many coats as these 2 cans will let me, and then I got one small imperfection right there. It dripped on me, but I think it'll be all right. I'm pretty stoked about this. I hate chrome, so yeah, like I said, I'm gonna throw those other coats on and see what we get out of it. See how it turns out. Stuff sprays different than anything I painted with, and it's kind of weird to work with, the layers of it. I don't know if you can see in the video. You kind of see like a weird overlap. Maybe it's just my sunglasses. Maybe, I don't know. I love the texture of it. I love the look of it. It's definitely super color matched. I was worried about if they were going to look the same. You could sure see where I was cutting. Still, I was hoping that the texture would cover that up, but I don't know. Like I said, that'll be kind of hidden, but it's also kind of in your face, sitting waist high or so. But either way, I kind of wish I would have got some of these scuffs out here. I didn't even really notice them. But again, not a big deal. It's got a rugged look to it, so I'm not too worried about it. It'll look pretty good once it's on there. Back up. Black on black on green on black, so it's gonna be cool. But yeah, that's her. And I think I might be able to get one more coat out of the can, and then I'm definitely dripping. A couple little drips. It's like spitting drips out at it here too. But it's gonna look good. So I decided to just leave no more coats. It looks pretty good. It's black. I think we're gonna leave it what it is right now. So we're just gonna let it dry. And what's cool about this stuff is it's kind of like plastic dip. So if you start getting some imperfections or scuffs or chips or anything, you could just hit it with another coat and you don't have to strip it and redo all this crazy stuff. You could just run another coat on it and that's that, you know. So what I think we're gonna do is just, while we're waiting, wash all this dirt and crap off the rig, because I still have yet to do that. It's been a few days now. So we're gonna do that. Just wash this thing up real nice and get ready to put this back on. So we'll clean some of these bugs out of the radiator here, stuff like that. So, and what I was thinking about doing was maybe putting a bag up on the radiator and cleaning this off real good right here, and maybe run a coat just over this right here, because it's gonna be a little bit exposed now. But I'm not really sure. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so we washed her up. Looks pretty good. It doesn't look like we were on the trail or anything now. So it's time to put these bad boys back on. They're pretty dry. They've been sitting for a while. So as long as we're careful and don't scuff them on the body, should be good. Alright, so we got the bumpers back on, and that whole front end looks amazing. The bumper's on. The bottom piece is only held on by the corners. It'll suck up a little bit tighter, but it's pretty much what you're looking at here. And like I was saying, this is now open because I cut that whole inside out of there, but just giving you an idea of what we're looking like. And it was pretty easy getting it back on. I just had my wife give me a hand, and we stuck those studs back through the framework there and just got them started, and then I tightened it down, and then she helped me get this other side here up and the corner started. So now everything's just started. So like I said, I just got to run the other 4 bolts there and get it tightened up. So should be back together in no time. I'll put all the lights back in so that way you guys can see what it looks like once it's all set like that. So, but this is just to give you an idea. It looks pretty sweet already. There it is, finished product. Turned out great. Texture, can't even really tell there's a difference between plastic and metal. Dig it. Alright, well that's it. That's the new front end. Hope you guys dig it. I do.